Thank you for joining us today. My name is Evelise Burgos from the Ombudsman's Office in Atlantic May County Superior Court. Meet the Court Live is a summer weekly series of webinars via Zoom to inform the public about a variety of court programs, services, and more. Today's presentation will provide general information and feature a Q&A at the end. You may submit general and non-specific questions at any point via the Q&A function in your Zoom app, and the speaker will address them at the end as long as time permits. This is a Zoom webinar, so cameras and microphones will not be usable. Also, please note that this is a product of Atlantic May County, and some information may be unique to only this county. Please be sure to check with your own county for any information specific to them. Today's presentation will cover DICE Committee and will be presented by the subject matter expert, the Honorable Judge Ronnie Cunningham. We hope you enjoyed today's session. Thank you. So we'll start off with a question for the judge. What exactly is the DICE Diversity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement Committee?
First, I'd like to say thank you for allowing me to come in and speak upon this topic today. It's a wonderful opportunity for everyone to become familiar with what the DICE committee does throughout our vicinage. But to specifically answer your question, the DICE committee is an advisory committee that works closely with the judiciary in Atlantic County and Cape May County to assure diversity, inclusion, and community engagement is incorporated into all the judiciary's efforts. Quite simply, it's a group that's been around for years and trying to assure that the community has a voice in making sure that there's fair access, fairness as to interactions between the courts and the community as a whole. But I would say that the committee is best defined by the mission statement that's presently on the screen. Our Diversity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement Committee makes recommendations to the assignment judge and trial court administrator. The recommendations focus on ensuring equal access and fairness with court programs and services. This pertains to racial and ethnic groups, religious, social, cultural, economic non-majority groups, issues relating to sexual orientation, gender identity, and disabled court users, working with juvenile justice officials on programs and policies for youth offenders, promoting community awareness of court programs, expanding minority recruitment efforts, criminal justice, and municipal court reform in the courts.
What is your role with this committee?
I serve as the chair of the local advisory committee here in Atlantic and Cape May counties. I work closely with our committee coordinator, who takes steps in developing and identifying goals, assuring that our membership is encouraged in its participation, and trying to communicate the objectives for our committee throughout the community as a whole. I also work to facilitate meetings of subcommittees that are part of the larger Diversity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement Committee. And the results of those subcommittees and meetings of the full group are then shared throughout the state with other local advisory committees that exist around the 14 other vicinages in New Jersey. That information is then used by our New Jersey Supreme Court's Committee on Diversity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement to try to bring about change and again, encourage more responsiveness to the needs of our community members.
Who else makes up the committee?
In addition to myself and the committee's coordinator, we're comprised of 12 judiciary employees with various titles and expertise, also 21 community partners at present from various fields of expertise, all coming together to hold full committee meetings on a regular basis and subcommittee meetings on a regular basis.
What impact does the committee have in Atlantic and Cape May counties?
Based upon the fact that our committee is made up of various community partners and various members of the judiciary, it creates a wonderful opportunity for the community to have a role in the direction that the court takes in moving forward. It allows the court to be responsive to the voice of the community. And as such, it allows the community voice to be identified, strengthened, and actually heard on a consistent basis when you take into account the involvement of the community partners that make up our DICE committee. So quite often, um, opportunities are created that benefit the community as a whole, as far as education, access to employment, access to certain services from the judiciary, which could lead to positive results from those that are coming to our door seeking help on a regular basis. Quite frankly, it's an opportunity to really acknowledge that we all play a role together in our community. We all can make a difference in making our community stronger. We all can make a difference in working together and instilling a greater confidence in how the judiciary is handling the needs of those that are coming through its door on a daily basis.
Past and present DICE committee initiatives.
Okay. Our committee has really advanced multiple initiatives over the years, but the ones that deserve the greatest highlight are appearing on the screen at this point. Our Racial Fairness and Justice Survey is a survey that we just completed with the input of various members of our committee, take into account the need to get feedback from those in the community who have had dealings with the court. We are now working to try to take that feedback to assure ongoing fairness and justice in a way that our judges are interacting with individuals coming into our courthouse, fairness in the way that we are allowing access to the courts so issues can be dealt with accordingly. So this Racial Fairness and Justice Survey is seeking feedback to certain questions which can be used in turn to make the court experience for those availing themselves of the court to be even better, to be more fair, to be more just. Really interactions that can lead to better outcomes for everyone that's involved and better outcomes for the community. Our Spanish Interest Committee outreach has been an initiative that was spearheaded from our committee, which is trying to ensure that there's a presence of the judiciary throughout our community in addressing the needs of those of Spanish and Latino background. One Judge, One School program is facilitated by our FACE team, and you hear a little bit more about our FACE team later on in this hour, but it's an opportunity to work one-on-one with schools that have been identified throughout our region to, again, encourage a relationship between our community and the courts, to let school-age children know that they can count upon the courts to be fair, to be responsive, to encourage them to be mindful of potential employment opportunities in the judiciary. It's an opportunity to serve as mentors with a judge with a certain school to impress upon children the importance of civics, cooperation, following the rules. Our expungement event partnerships with community organizations are regularly scheduled events that have been very successful for a number of years. It's providing an opportunity to educate the community about steps that can be taken in expunging old convictions, things that unfortunately has a negative impact or a detrimental impact on their ability to live their day-to-day lives. Through the DICE committee, we have set up expungement seminars throughout Atlantic County, throughout Cape May County, in hopes of, again, developing really a partnership with our community that we can all work together to achieve common goals. Next, staff and judicial trainings on a variety of topics concerning diversity, even topics concerning LGBTQ plus issues that come before the court on a consistent basis and need to be addressed. That training happens not only with our judges, but it happens with staff, so as to assure that we're really improving the customer service that we're affording to everyone that comes to our door. And we're again responsive to issues that come day to day to assure um, confidence in the partnership that we have with our community. Lastly, the steps that we've taken to develop partnerships in our local colleges, Stockton University and ACCC, working closely with community partners there to host job fairs, to develop goals in which we're trying to encourage really students at both of these local colleges to be aware of opportunities that are involved with the judiciary, encouraging these local colleges and highlighting plans to make for viable opportunities in the world of employment as things move forward day to day. Those are really the highlights of the initiatives that we are presently involved with, and really stand out the most in my mind at this time in our efforts to work with our community.
Where can I get more information or volunteer to join the DICE committee?
All right. Any type of inquiries as far as what we do in our DICE committee or becoming a volunteer for the DICE committee can be directed to our coordinator, which is our Equal Employment Opportunity and Affirmative Action Officer. The number is provided on the screen, 609-402-0100, extension 47240.
At this time, if anyone has any questions, you can drop them in the chat now. So it looks like one came up. The question is, Judge, what does it mean to you personally to chair this committee? What do you envision for it in the future?
All right, it's a two-part question. What does it mean for me to chair this committee? I see it as a wonderful opportunity to really be part of an initiative that's been around for many years, dating back to the years in which the committee was called the Minority Affairs Committee. There's been an ongoing commitment in trying to be responsive to the needs of the community and a role of the judiciary in improving the community as being part of the community. What it means to me is an opportunity to continue my commitment to community service, by working with our community partners in this committee and trying to identify issues that need to be addressed, highlighting goals that can be easily achieved by the actions that we hope to pursue as part of this committee. It's a chance to work hand in hand with community partners to make our community stronger. So that's why it's really a privilege for me to participate as the chair of this committee up to this point, and hopefully as we move forward in the future. As far as where I see things headed in the future, I see bigger and loftier initiatives coming from this group, because of the input of the various community partners and the willingness to be out there in the community, seeking as much feedback as possible and how we can be responsive to various issues that are out there. With our committee getting bigger and bigger, our ability to interact with people, not only in person, but also by Zoom, has created an opportunity to really reach more people and accomplish greater and loftier goals as a result of our advances in technology, the advances in the commitment of our community partners, and I'm going to say the willingness of our community to be part of the discussion and the types of issues that we're addressing through our committee.
I'll give it about another minute. Any more questions you guys have in the chat? Doesn't look like any more are coming in at this time. Oh, well, we got one and it just says, thank you for today's program.
All right, you're welcome. Again, thank you so much for allowing me to
It
come
looks
in and
like,
speak a little
sorry,
bit.
Judge, one more came up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it said, I've been thinking about being on the committee. How much time do we have to give the committee?
The full committee meets on a quarterly basis. Normally the third week of the month in which the full committee meeting would fall. If it happens quarterly, we just had a meeting in July. Our next meeting would be in October, followed by one in March, and then the following July. Outside of that, there's work with our subcommittees in which they meet a little bit more regularly in identifying issues to address and doing a lot of the legwork that comes into play and allowing us to be successful in achieving our goals. So outside of the 4 full committee meetings, there are subcommittee meetings that are frequent, but they don't occur monthly. I would say the involvement could really entail the 4 full committee meetings, subcommittee meetings, once or twice a quarter. So I would say perhaps in a year, 12 meetings. Okay. But any other questions should be directed to our coordinator by way of the number that was put on the screen a little bit earlier.
At this time, we don't have any more questions, so we'll move along. Okay. So thank you for watching today's presentation, and thank you to our subject matter expert and our Spanish interpreter. We would love to receive feedback about this program. Using the QR code on the screen, please take a moment to answer a brief survey about today's program. You will receive the link via email and after the session ends, as well as a flyer for the remaining webinar topics. If you're looking for any information on this series, please contact the Ombudsman's office at the email above. And it looks like at this time that concludes our session for today.